living in doubt, fear, okay, I'm talking about self-doubt. If you doubt this one, okay, then you have a serious problem. Why? Because then your goals are just kind of kept out here, okay, when you doubt. Because what you're doing is when you ask, so the formula is ask, believe, receive, okay, for anything. Okay, so for anything you ask. Now, sometimes your desire will ask for you, right? Because a belief is a thought you keep thinking. And as you keep thinking a thought, guess what happens? It becomes a belief. Okay? You believe either that you want it, you believe that you're pursuing it, you believe that it's something that you should have, you believe that it's, okay? So belief goes into the subconscious in repetition. Okay, the more you repeat a thought, the more you believe in the thought, whatever it is. So then you start to bring it into your world. Then you start to bring it to you. Okay? And we're going to go over that process as well, but it's not rocket science. It's subconscious learning, it's subconscious execution. But the subconscious is the unconscious, it's 95% of your life. Okay, so if you want to say that a lot of people are walking around sleepwalking, I wouldn't dispute that. Okay, but here's the thing, right? Your fruits bring you results. If we look at the subconscious tree, okay, so the roots of the tree are your subconscious beliefs. The trunk of the tree is your paradigm, shaped by your beliefs, what you believe, the things that you believe to be true. And then the fruits of the tree, okay, you heard that old saying, right? You shall know them by their fruits, right? Are the actions, and actions turn into results. Okay, now, if you are producing a bunch of, let's say, actions that are inconducive to your goal, or actions that are not in alignment or that don't agree with what you're trying to achieve, you're not going to achieve it. Okay, it's just that simple. Now, yesterday we were talking about, nervous system regulation. We were talking about all those things because all these feelings get stored in your nervous system. And these become habits, these become beliefs. Because when the fear becomes real, the fear doesn't just go away, it lingers, it stays there. And then when you get a trigger, something that reminds you of what it is you're fearing about, it surfaces, it comes back. Good morning. Hey, Cutmaster Spaz. Good morning, brother. So, so it comes back. Now, a lot of people don't understand that they need to clear this up first before whatever they're trying to manifest or whatever goal they're trying to achieve, you know, comes can come into your life. Okay, and I found this out in 2007, and boom, 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 things started happening. Okay, now, like I told you before, the how is always God's job. Okay, this is not a Christian channel. This is not a biblical thing, but the Bible is my background. That's how I believe. I'm a Christian, so I believe that way. But I'm telling you that even if you don't believe in the Bible, even if you have no idea, never read it before, there's a lot of wisdom there, and it's worth checking out. It's worth checking out just for wisdom alone. You don't have to believe in it, but you can learn from it. Okay? So the bottom line is thoughts shape your thinking. Okay? It shapes behavior. Okay? Why is that? Well, because a thought becomes a belief, right? Everything begins in thought. You get the idea. So there's the conscious, subconscious, and superconscious states of awareness inside. Okay, so the conscious mind picks the target. It says, okay, I want that, or I want to pursue that, or I want to, bring that into my world. And it could be a relationship, it could be a job, it could be an inanimate object, it could be like a new car. I've been doing new cars since 2007. Like just, and the only thing I know now is that I just have new car smell. But I followed this formula. Okay, I followed this formula. I just ordered another lease. Okay, but I followed this formula. And this formula is very, very easy. Very, very simple. It doesn't require a lot of work, but it does require a lot of thought, a lot of focused attention. The problem today, the biggest problem today with that is that everybody gets divided. Okay, their attention gets divided. Look over here, look over there. Oh, look at that. Oh, look at that, look at that. And people don't focus. Okay, focus is like putting on horse blinders. Okay, like this. And focus is like, okay, I'm gonna be here. This is what I'm going to do. This is the expression you hear people say, stay in your lane. Okay, I'm going to stay in my lane, which means I'm going to focus on what I'm doing. I'm going to focus on me, what I'm doing, what works for my world, and what I'm interested in. And that's where applied focus comes into play. Now, if you don't have applied focus, what happens? You can't concentrate long enough for something to come in your world. Why? Because a belief is a thought you keep thinking. You need to keep thinking, or let's say focusing on that item or that thing or that job or that girl or whatever. Okay, and I have to add that if it's a girl, okay, it's easier for you to have that open, okay, so that God goes, hey, you want this one? You want this one? You want this one? You want this one? You want that one? Okay, because if you target one person, guess what? If that person has some kind of objection to it, it won't happen because everyone has free will. Okay, so that's the rule with people. But can you manifest people? Sure. I manifested meeting Jose Feliciano. I manifested meeting like all the heroes in my life when I was about 12 years old. You know, I was like, wow, I want to be with them. I want to meet them. You know, and I met all these famous people from Hawaii and elsewhere that I was interested in. The only person I didn't meet were the guys that were too old for me, like Frank Sinatra. Although he came to Hawaii, I went to his concert, but I didn't meet him. I didn't have those connections back then. But anyway, but that kind of thing. So you can manifest people into your world, definitely. Okay, I actually manifested Mike Dooley into my life. He's from The Secret documentary by Rhonda Byrne, and I watched The Secret, and somehow I just gravitated towards Mike Dooley, and I have a picture. I have a picture of Mike Dooley and I. In fact, if I go onto my one of my accounts here, I don't know if I can get it, but Mike Dooley is on one of my accounts. A picture I pinned it to the top. As a matter of fact, it's on the Here for You Life Coaching site on Facebook, and it should be at the top of the page. But anyway, but the purpose of me showing you this is that you can manifest anything. Now, how did that happen? How did Mike Dooley come into the picture? Well, Mike Dooley came into the picture. Yeah, he's not. I don't have him pinned anymore. So Mike Dooley came into the picture because I had been following him online, and for some reason, here's a picture of me and Mike Dooley right here when I was doing my studies. Oops, there you go. That's Mike Dooley from The Secret. Okay, there you go. Okay, and anyway, and that was a long time ago. And that was a long time ago when I started studying all this stuff, right? And it was really weird because I really desired to learn from him, right? And I thought, well, what's the odds? He'll probably never come to Hawaii. And for years, he never came to Hawaii. Never came to Hawaii. All of a sudden, one year, he showed up. And of course, when he came, I wanted to go, right? And I let my mom know. And my mom goes, yeah, that would be a good thing for me too. So my mom was interested, right? Now, my mom manifested huge in her life, okay? Now, realize that everything comes to us from God through others, okay? Always. That's the way it works, okay? It's not a miracle. You don't rub a magic lamp and, things show up. It doesn't work like that. But is it hard to do? Is it an arduous task? Okay? Sorry, that's a big word, arduous. That it just means a painful process. No, it's not. It's not. And so when my mom heard about that, right? I just told her, it was a conversation. She goes, "Oh, I'll get the tickets. Where do I get them from?" So of course I gave her the website. She paid for the tickets. We went to the seminar, and it was awesome, and I learned a lot, and it accelerated my manifestation process. Okay, and then I started putting up, I put up Here for You Life Coaching in 2010. I saw Mike Dooley in 2008, I believe, something like that. I was young. I was a young girl. So anyway, and so I started with my company. So I have a family of service companies in Honolulu, and now they're all up online. So if you want to look at all of the links at all of our services and companies that we have, you can go to my Facebook account. Jay, you can put up the Facebook account address. And Jay is our administrator over here. She's she's in charge of the feed on this side on our chat. So anyway, but yeah, so there's all the links and everything to our companies, and you can search me and just put family of service companies. It'll show you. Um, but it's not a flex per se. It's and I show this to people on my Facebook, and I think sometimes they think I flex all the time, and I'm just showing them you can do this too, and I tell them how to do it. I put it in my stories all the time on Facebook. Okay, and I think some people may get the wrong idea, but here's the thing, right? You have to change your mindset. If you come from a positive mindset, when you see someone with something and they go, okay, this is how I did this. Okay, now if you have a positive mindset, you'll go, oh, wow, I wonder how that happened. I wonder how I can make that happen for me. If you have a negative mindset, you look at it and you feel bad and you go, because you want to have that, or because you're jealous, or because whatever, envy, whatever, right? And that's not the way to look at it. When I see somebody with something, I'm like, most of the time it's things that I'm not interested in. I see guys with brand new boats and stuff. Like, I'm not interested in a boat. There was a time when I almost bought a boat way back. I didn't, and then I bought a horse because I realized that I would like a horse better than the boat. I made that decision. But anyway, but what I'm saying is, you can have, do, or be anything, like anything, but you have to be interested. Okay, if you take the steps towards what you're interested in, and you don't doubt or fear. Okay, most people don't pursue their dreams because they doubt themselves. Okay, or they doubt the process. So it doesn't matter if you doubt yourself, if you doubt the process. The feeling is doubt. Okay, the subject is doubt. It's sort of like if you're in debt. Okay, if you're in debt and you're trying to satisfy the debt, or you're trying to whatever, you're thinking about the debt. Okay, it doesn't matter if you're trying to pay it off. It doesn't matter if you're just thinking about it and it scares you. The topic is debt, and you will accrue more of it. Why? Because you're focused on it. It's your focus. Okay, and this is why I say that manifestation is subconscious, but it's also applied focus. Okay, when you take the steps, God starts to open the doors. Okay, so your three states of awareness: conscious, subconscious, and superconscious. Okay, conscious mind makes the decision. Okay, we're going to go for that. Now, after you put it into your subconscious enough, okay, so 66 days for a solid program in your subconscious. After 2 weeks, though, you feel the shift. And after 2 weeks, things are more believable for you. Okay? And when I say that, what I mean is it looks like it's more possible. Okay? If it seems impossible, after a couple of weeks, it's like, yeah, you know what? Yeah, I could see how I could do this. That kind of feeling. Okay? And when you do that, the subconscious looks for, as soon as your subconscious believes something, like, believes it's possible, it will start creating avenues towards it. And what does the superconscious do? The superconscious is God. Okay? Whatever you believe that is, higher self, God, Jesus Christ, Allah, whatever you believe, every human being is the same in here. Okay? We all have awareness. We are all aware. Awareness is the one thing that links all of us together. Okay, so when you see in the Bible or other holy books where it says we are all one, that's what they're talking about, awareness. We are all one awareness, and we are connected at the awareness level. Now, science hasn't proved that, right? Science says, no, that's woo-woo. Okay, fine. But I've seen things, I've experienced things that tell me otherwise, okay? Because let me give you an example, right? So either everything in life is a coincidence and it's a random occurrence, right? And you're on this wild ride through life, or there is organization in the universe. Okay? There is organization as far as cells go, as far as atoms go, as far as molecules go. Okay? And I'm here to tell you that there is an organization. There is an intelligence. Everything has intelligence. Every blade of grass is intelligent. It knows to look for the sun. Okay? It knows to absorb the sun. Okay? It goes on, like everything. Trees communicate with each other. They talk to each other. But they talk to each other through the roots. They don't communicate like we do. Okay? When you talk to plants, okay, the vibration affects the plants. Okay? There's tons of experiments like this. Okay, and now if you go on certain social media platforms, you can see these little electrodes. Well, they're electronic wires, and they attach them to the leaves of the plant, and it sends electronic pulses to the plant. And they have this device now that plays music, like chimes and stuff, because the plant is actually producing communication or singing or whatever. It's actually the device that does the singing part. But the electronic impulses from the plants occur. Okay, so we know that everything is intelligent. But in that intelligence, okay, let me give you a scenario. Okay, so let's say, for example, you want to work at XYZ company. Okay, and I repeat these things, so if you've heard it, just bear with me. Okay, you're gonna get a little bit of different information today, but I need to repeat it for the people that are just joining us. So, okay, I am so happy and grateful now that I work at XYZ company. Thank you. That's your affirmation. And let's say you've written it for 2 weeks, and now your subconscious starts to believe that, oh, yeah, this is possible. Yeah, I think that's for me, right? And you go to the gym one day and you start to talk to someone, and you're having a conversation, right? And you, oh, what kind of work do you do? Oh, I work in human resources. Oh, where do you work at? XYZ company. Oh, I was just thinking about, you see, has that happened to you before? Okay, and then he says, yeah, come down and fill out an application. We have openings, and guess what happens? In a couple of weeks, you're working at XYZ company. You go, wow, this is a coincidence. I can't believe that this happened, right? And then you have a big story behind it. Right? Oh yeah, I met this guy, and now I'm here working, and yeah, I got a job. Okay. So either everything is a coincidence, or there's an organization to the universe, to everything. So whether you call it God, universe, source, Jesus Christ, Allah, whatever, however you believe. Okay, the difference in religion is the way they go about it. They're individual beliefs, and there's tons of different ones. Okay, so if you believe in the Talmud, if you believe in the Torah, if you believe in the Bible, if you believe in the Bhagavad Gita, whatever it is you believe in. But you have to understand the illusion of life and not buy into the illusion. What is the illusion? Gautama Buddha said, the man who sees life as an illusion escapes suffering. He was talking about mental suffering, emotional suffering. Why? Because when you believe in things outside of the kingdom, Jesus Christ called it the kingdom within. And Jesus was pointing you to the kingdom within so that you don't go without. Why? Because out here is only nature and things from someone else's in here. So when you're chasing someone or something out here that was invented by someone else's in here, okay, someone's invention, someone's system, someone's procedure, okay, you're chasing the illusion because it's not of God, it's of man. And when you put your belief in something of man, the Christians call it mammon. Mammon doesn't mean money. It doesn't mean material things per se, although it does reference that. It's the belief in that material thing. It's the belief in money. It's the worship of money or thing. Because if let's say that you go to college, you go to high school trying to get good grades for college. Go into college, right? Want to go to grad school, make good grades, do whatever, honor roll, whatever. But your focus is on where you're going. Okay, so let's say it's a medical career. Let's say it's a doctor. So then you go to medical school, right? You go to medical school, then you do your residency. Now you've accumulated all this time. You've spent all this time and energy. You become invested in that. Now, some people end up worshiping, the system that got them there. Why? Because the system provides you with everything. The system gave you the house, gave you the car, gave you, allowed you to have a good wife, hopefully, okay? Whatever that is, okay? Whatever. All of these material things. And then what? Well, people start to worship the system. Okay, my mom's a teacher. Okay, so my mom, I always have to sit down and listen to who is so educated and whatever and whatever. And she goes on and on about education, education, education. Why? Because she was invested in education. She went to college. She became a teacher. So everything is education, education, education. And my question is always, what about God? What about in here? You're not your body. You're not your name. You're that energy that lives in here. Okay? And this is where you know the truth, or you see the truth, or the truth is unveiled to you. Okay? Inside. Okay? And this is why in biblical scripture, it says, you shall see the truth and the truth shall set you free. Well, first, the truth is going to upset you. We're going through that a lot in the world right now. Okay? Because there's a lot of people that we've been telling them from the 80s, from the mid to late 80s. We've been saying, no, this is going on in the world. This is going on in the world. This is the way that is. This is the way that system works. This is the way it's set up, whatever, whatever. Okay? And people were going, nah, that's crazy. That's great. And they look at me like, I lost it or something. And I'm like, okay, that's fine. Okay, but I studied esoteric knowledge. So esoteric knowledge is the inner knowledge that they don't feed the masses. Okay, because the masses wouldn't understand it. Okay, it's kind of like too much for the average person to take in. But now the average person is gravitating to it and go, oh, okay, teach me more. I want to learn more of this. So part of my training, which I don't talk that much about on this platform, on the lives, I don't talk about it too much. But there's an old school term called red pilling. Red pilling, so red pill, blue pill, the Matrix movie, that kind of thing. So the red pill represents truth. Okay, remember that Jack Nicholson movie, you can't handle the truth kind of thing? Because the truth is sometimes really tough to take. Okay, the blue pill is the illusion that Gautama Buddha talked about. So you can go back and live in the illusion and pretend everything's fine, right? Or you can face the truth, get upset by the truth, and then be freed by the truth. So, and I'm not talking about religion. I'm talking about the way things work. Okay, Jordan Maxwell said, nothing in the world works the way you think it does. And it doesn't. And now it's being revealed. Why? Because we're in the age of Aquarius. Okay, and I know you religious people are going, no, we don't believe in Aquarius. We don't believe in that. Well, astrology is all throughout the Bible if you know how to read the Bible, if you know the esoteric knowledge. Okay? But we're not going to get into that too much. If you have questions on the chat, I'd be glad to answer it. Okay? If you want to ask questions about that. Okay? But one of the things I'll leave you with is Jesus Christ said, in my Father's house there are many mansions, right? But when you look at the original scripture, it says, in my Father's abode there are many houses. Yeah, there's 12 houses. Okay? There's 12 constellations. There's 12 months in the year. There's 12 disciples. 12, 12, 12. Okay? Anyway, so the human brain does not know the difference between a vividly imagined experience. Okay? Imagination, in other words. Okay? So you imagine whatever it is you want for manifestation. It doesn't know the difference between that or if you're actually doing it. So when you're watching a movie and you really get into the movie, you really like the movie, maybe you watch it again. Watch it again. Pretty soon you start believing what's in the movie. Even if it's not, if it's fictional, you're still going to believe it. You're still going to believe in whatever it's trying to project onto you. Okay? Because humans are very susceptible to anything in repetition. Okay, you can tell somebody something. If you tell it to them over and over and over and over, eventually they'll start to believe it. So whether you believe in God or you don't believe in God, whatever you believe in, you're still a believer. Okay, it doesn't matter. Faith is different, right? So faith is also important in manifestation. Why? Because you have to know. Knowing is not like believing at all. Okay? You have to know. You have to already know that it's done. You have to already know, and this is why the process is ask, believe, receive. Okay? So you ask, and believing in what you're asking, okay, after that you have to just know, and it will show up. I can't even tell you how many times that happens in my life. It still happens. Okay? And I do these affirmations. Let me show you what that looks like. Here's one that I'm finished with. Okay, these are affirmations. It's not meditation. Okay, and I know it looks crazy. I have about 12 of these in storage. Okay, and when I go back and I look at key points in my life, because I write down the dates next to it, and I look at the key points in my life and go, wow, yeah, I remember that happened. But I wrote it down first. I got it into my subconscious first. And then the superconscious works off of what's in your subconscious. This is important to know, okay? Because God will only bring you what is in your subconscious according to what you believe. Okay? That's written in scripture as well. It's just not written that way, and they're not going to tell you this in Sunday school. Okay? Whatever it is in your subconscious, let's say, for example, you want a new car, but in your subconscious, you're thinking, I can only get a good used car. That's your belief, right? Because you've never had a new car or whatever. Let's say that's it. Okay? You can pray all you want. You can write all the affirmations you want. You can do all the meditation on it you want. Not going to happen. Okay? Because you have to change the belief in the subconscious first. The good news is, if you do affirmations, meditation, vocalization, and visualization on any one thing, it has to happen according to your perception. And when you have perception, what does that mean? That means you perceive things a certain way. Things start developing in that way as you take the steps. So when you marry intention with emotion, okay, now intention is prayer, intention is asking. Whatever you intend to do, whatever you intend to ask for, whatever you're intending for your life, education, okay, marriage, job, whatever. The little things, the minor things are the qualifications, all of that. I mean, those are processes. Those are easy to accomplish. They're just take an investment of time. Okay? And it also has to be believable by your subconscious. So in other words, if you're writing to, win the lottery or something, and you want to win the lottery and you've never won the lottery before, it's going to be a stretch for your subconscious. Okay, now your subconscious is a culmination of all of your senses. So your diet is important. What are you watching? What are you listening to? What kind of music are you listening to? Okay? Are you listening to rubbish? Are you listening to inspiring things? Are you listening to good stuff? So when I started doing this journey in 2007, right, I went into Instagram. I was on Instagram, and I followed luxury accounts. And the luxury accounts were like, luxury cars, luxury homes, luxury clothes, all that stuff, right? And I started following that. And every time I went in there, or every time I was frustrated, I went in there and I looked at all this luxury stuff. The luxury stuff made me feel good. Why? Because it's of a higher vibration. Okay, lower vibrational things would be like violence. It would be like, looking at ghetto stuff, or fights, or violence, or that kind of thing. Yesterday this guy goes, well, you're pretending to be all Christian and stuff, and you're posting violence. I'm like, no, my Facebook, this is on my Facebook page. I said, no, my Facebook page is actually about current events, and there's a lot of violence in the world right now. And Christians are very alert right now because there's a huge war on good and evil. It's always existed, okay? But these things are amplifying it, okay? This amplifies it. So now we get information right away. Good morning, Moon Soul. Nice to see you again. Good morning, guys. Good morning, Grace. Good morning, guys. So we have a chat on this side over here. So I started doing that. I started feeling better. Why? Because these were higher vibrational pictures. Okay, it doesn't matter what it is, nature, animals, all of those things are higher vibrational. Why? Because they make you feel good. Things that bring you down. So vibration in accordance with human beings, okay, is about emotions. So if you have let's say, a high vibration, then you have good emotions. If you have a low vibration, you have low emotions. Okay, human beings go like this, back and forth. Okay, I call this windshield wiper syndrome, back and forth. Okay, Sometimes we have good emotions. Sometimes things make us feel bad. When things make you feel bad, the name of the game is getting to the glass half full. Okay? How fast? How fast can you pull yourself from the glass half full to the glass half empty? And a couple of weeks ago, we were talking about perception. Maybe I'll go over it again one morning. But we were talking about, oh, thank you. Oh, Moon Soul, thank you so much. Thank you, thank you. Hey, Ivan, good morning. So perception, okay? In perception, everything has a good and bad side, okay? So when something bad happens, if you just observe whatever it is long enough and ask the question, what's the good part of this? It will start to change from the glass half empty to the glass half full. But you have to ask. Ask, believe, receive. If you ask, believing that you will see the good side, you will receive. And this is manifestation. Okay, so manifestation is we can call it accomplishing goals if you want to. People have given it a mysterious, mystical thing, right? A meaning to it, right? It's not mystical at all. It's your subconscious. Everybody has one. Okay? Nobody's different. Nobody's special. Nobody's worse. Nobody's better. Nobody's worse. Nobody's special. We all have the same perception. Okay? So the name of the game is number one, target. That's the conscious mind. But that only does 5% of your life. Think about it. 95% of your life is unconscious, okay, or subconscious, working below the surface. And there's a lot of garbage in there. Why? Because we get hit with it every day. TV shows, movies, right? Commercials, all of these things, scrolling, the negative stuff, positive stuff, it all goes in here. We absorb all of it. So everything you see, everything you do, everything you say, thank you, thank you. Who did that? Oh, thank you, Moonsoul. Everything you see, everything you taste, everything you hear, everything you think, it goes into your subconscious. Okay? You can think anything. You can have bad thoughts, okay? But it's the thoughts you choose that go into your subconscious, right? Because you choose to think about them. You put more thought into it. Okay, so if you get a negative thought, how can you control your thoughts? If you get when you get a negative thought, because you'll get one. Okay, I get them every day. I'm just like everybody else. Okay, when you get a negative thought, say stop and switch focus. Okay, it's all about switching your focus. Because if you say stop on a negative thought and then you think of your baby, you think of your doggy, you think of your cat, you think of whatever you think of that makes you happy. Okay. It will distract you out of negative thinking. And now you're thinking about something positive. And now what happens? Now you get more relaxed inside. What do we call that? We call it confidence. Thank you, thank you. Thank you so much, Moonsoul. Thank you. Hi, Carol. Good morning. So we find that, the law of, there's several universal laws, okay? The first universal law is the law of divine oneness, okay? And this is mentioned in the Bible as well. It's in the Bhagavad Gita. It's in all the holy books, but it's just said in different ways in different books, okay? In the Bible, it says we are all one. Okay, the universal law is divine oneness, which means we are all one. We're all one species. We're all one awareness. Everyone has the same capability as the other one. Okay? And yeah, there's, thank you for shifting this process for staying focused. Oh, you're very welcome. You're very welcome. Moonsoul said, thank you for your inspiration. Thank you, thank you. Thank you, Carol, for joining us. So what you can do, right, to help yourself, because some of my clients that come to me, okay, I have another opening. I have 2 half-hour openings now because one of my clients finished her process. and I'm very proud of her. She's not here today. She's at the dentist. That was one of the things. Now she's motivated. Now she's going to the dentist. She's doing self-care. She's taking care of herself better. Okay, so I'm very proud that she's not here. She'll probably she'll. I have a book I bought years ago. It's called Oneness. I need to read it. Yeah, I think I've heard about that book, Angelita. Good morning. But anyway, so yeah, I have 2.5 hours now. If anybody wants to go to the website, go to the links, and yeah, I'll talk to you guys. But anyway, okay, when you're practicing manifestation, or let's say trying to accomplish a goal, okay, let's say it practically. If you follow the steps and if you are in synergy with these three, okay, your inner states of awareness, conscious, subconscious, superconscious. Okay, the superconscious is the one that gives you the connectivity. Where is that located? In the right hemisphere of your brain. That's connection. The right hemisphere of your brain does the connection. It's the imagination. It's the connection. It's the creativity. Okay, all of that. Right brain functions. Jesus lives at the right hand, sits at the right hand of the Father. That's what they're telling you in esoteric knowledge. Okay, they're saying move from the ego from the left. Okay, the logical processes move from the ego over to the right side. Why? Because the right side will give you insight to things. It will give you the imagination necessary to create. Okay, I created so many things for myself. I just, if I was interested in something, I made a company out of it. Everything in life is a business, by the way. Everything. When you look at everything in life as a business, navigating life is far more simple. Okay? But anyway, when you have that creativity, when you have that imagination, right? Some people shut it off. Okay, they shut it off because they've been taught to shut it off. Sometimes in high school, sometimes in intermediate school, sometimes in college. Right? Oh, that's silly. Talking about that stuff. That's silly, right? It works like this. It doesn't work like that. I was talking about my consulting company yesterday. Okay? And how I consulted with this MBA who was taught all of these things in college. And he was telling me, no, this doesn't work like that. No, you can't do that way. That doesn't work like this. I dropped out of college. Okay. My mentor said it was one of the best things I've ever done. And I didn't understand at the time, but now I get it. But this guy, MBA, right? He was coming from logic. He was coming from what he learned in college. And I just, I took it to heart, and I thought about what he was telling me, and then I just did it my way. And guess what? Boom, it worked. And it worked a lot. And I mean, you can see everything that we did on Instagram or on Facebook, VMAC Consultants, and check it out. Okay. Because there's an infinite amount of possibilities for anything in the universe, in the world. Okay. There's many different ways to accomplish the same thing. Okay, sure, in college there's a curriculum. In college there's a process. In college there's tested avenues. But there's also untested avenues. There's also God. Okay? The right hemisphere of your brain is where God accesses you, or you access God. That's where intuitive thought comes from. That's where intuition comes from, the right hemisphere of the brain. If you ask, believing in what you're asking, you will receive. So the journey of Moses in the Bible is the story of the migration from the left brain to the right brain, from the desert into the promised land. Why? Because abundance lives on the right side. Okay, this is not politics. This is the right hemisphere of your brain. Literally, the right hemisphere of your brain. That's where abundance is. Why? Because you have to imagine. You have to imagine it so. Can you see yourself in the house with a swimming pool and, yada, yada, yada? I saw myself in the mansion. Okay? I didn't have a specific mansion target. I just saw myself in a mansion. Guess what? Pretty soon, I was living in a mansion. For 3 years, I lived in a mansion. And then I sold the mansion. Okay, but for 3 years, I was there. I was like, And it wasn't all that. It was, I mean, really, it was just a big, huge place, a 5-story house built on a hill and on this hillside that we have in on Oahu, where I am in Hawaii. It's called Nu'uanu. It's a Hawaiian word, Hawaiian name. For 3 years, I was there, and I'm like, okay, well, been there, done that, and now I live in a 15-minute city. So, I mean, and when I was there, I could see this 15-minute city that I'm in now, and I went, that's the goal. I used to point at the skyscrapers, and I go, that's the goal, the big buildings, right? And now I live in a big building. So, I mean, you can have, do, or be anything, but you have to put your mind to it. You have to feel it. When you feel it, it goes into your subconscious, okay? No, your brain filters reality through your reticular activating system in your brainstem. You don't have to remember that. It's called the RAV if you want to look it up. RAS. RAS. And the reticular activating system filters out things you're not focused on and filters in things you're focused on. And that's why all the thought leaders tell you to focus on what you want, not what you don't want. That's why what you don't want is dangerous. Okay? You're thinking about what you don't want, and then it shows up. And then more of that shows up. Right? So you have to think about what you want. Okay. Oh, good morning, Sarah. Good morning. Sarah is my client in the UK. Hi, Manuel. Yeah, you have to be practical, Manuel. You have to start small and build, okay? $1 million is a lot if you have never had $1 million, okay? So you have to start small. I started with $20. The topic is manifestation. Who's that? Viva Faith. Manifestation. Thousands create your reality. Yeah, kind of, sort of, but it starts with you and your thoughts. Oh, thoughts. Yes, thoughts create your reality. You're right. Yes, Manuel. Uh-huh. Mansion, yeah, for 3 years. So your thoughts create your reality. So if you're thinking about what you don't want, okay, not only is your vibration going to lower, okay, because that's a factor. When your vibration lowers, you're only going to be able to manifest what's on that vibration. And that's why those negative things come. That's part of it, okay? Because when you're thinking about, when you watch things that contain violence, or you're looking at low vibrational things, which is why I told you that, I looked at the luxury things on Instagram because it had a higher vibration. It raised my vibration. That's part of the visualization process. Affirmations, meditation, vocalization, visualization. Okay, so that's part of the visualization process, because you have to imagine. Okay, if it's not here yet, you have to imagine and have faith. Faith is believing in something, right, or knowing that something is before you see it. Okay, so when they talk about faith in God, most people have never seen God, right? If you really want to see God, go stand in the mirror in the bathroom, turn the light on, and take a good look, because God lives in here. The kingdom is within. Okay. This one lady, we had a flood here in Hawaii over the weekend, and this one lady on my Facebook wrote something like, well, the flood happened because Jesus is mad, and and Jesus is coming again. Okay, Jesus is coming within. First of all, Jesus comes within, okay, to everyone that believes, that is in that course of belief, right? So first of all, God is in here. So I suggested that she read her scriptures. Okay, the flood didn't happen because God is mad. Okay, she was pretty old. She was, I don't know, she was older. I think she's older than me. But you see, people believe the stories. Now, if you believe the story, or you believe in the story, okay, because there are entities that are using the Bible as a playbook, okay, but if you believe the stories, you're going to get caught up in fear. If you get caught up in fear, can you embrace God? The answer is no. Why? Because God is love. God is not fear. Okay? God has nothing to do with fear. Fear is the opposite of love. Okay? Your creator is 100% pure love. And you know this because when you look at babies that come into the world, they don't come in angry, right? They come in happy. They're just hungry, right? But they're there, they're happy, they're smiling, okay? They cry when they're hungry, they cry when something's wrong, but they're happy. That's your default energy before life happens, before the stress comes, before the worry gets piled on you. All of those things. Worry is like praying for something bad to happen. Okay? But the reticular activating system filters out the good stuff when you're focused on bad stuff. Then what happens? Then the world is negative. Oh, the world is terrible. Oh, the world sucks. No, the world is beautiful. Okay? And you can belong to whichever side you want. And like I said, if you're always thinking negative, okay, like I always say, humans have negativity bias. Okay, we're born with it. We're programmed with it for evolutionary purposes so that we identify the threats and survive as a species. But when you amplify this negativity bias, okay, it goes into your subconscious. And then what? The subconscious makes you negative. The subconscious makes you fearful. The subconscious gives you anxiety. And then you go to the doctor and you get medicine for it, right? And what does it do? It just masks the symptom. It just treats the symptoms. The vocalization exercise we do pulls people out of anxiety. They're not anxious anymore. In 3 months, anxiety's gone. Okay? Janice, my former client in Denver, that's normally with us on the chat here, she got pulled out of all of that. And she was sitting at home crying. She's retired. She was sitting home crying all the time, not knowing what was wrong. And I told her, if you're crying all the time like that, okay, women purge, okay? They purge their negative emotions. If you're always crying, you're suffering from negativity. Is it good to cry as a female? Yes, it's good. Get it out, okay? You need that cry time. You're purging. You're purging negative emotions. Okay, doubt, fear, guilt, shame, all of that. Purging. And when she did that, we went down the road a couple of months. Guess what happened? It set her free. Okay, the prison is here. And all I do is go in and free people from their prison. And then what happens? Then they're back to their default energy. Then they're back to doing what they want. You know, she told me she passed a neighborhood center for years. And she always wanted to join something there. She always wanted to get involved with people there. But she isolated herself at home for years with her grandchildren and just focused on them. That's not wrong. That's a good thing, being with your grandchildren, right? But denying yourself and keeping yourself in that kind of situation and being fearful, right? And not going outside the box or doing the things you really want to do, that's not so healthy. And she's broken free of all of that. And she's going to classes. She's taking classes. I think Tai Chi, and then there's an art class she's going to take, stuff like that. Okay, and that's important. It's important because when human beings get fearful, when human beings get doubtful, they go into themselves like this. Okay, people come to me like this. And the vocalization process starts to relax them, open, boom, like that in 3 months. And we're talking about, first of all, the vocalization exercise, but we add the other 3 to it. Okay, so the 4 pillars, again, affirmations, meditation, vocalization, visualization. If you put my name into any AI, any browser, you'll see my teaching method. It'll pop up, you'll get everything. Okay, you'll get an explanation of everything. You'll get an explanation of the philosophy behind it. Okay, this is solid science. Because what happens when you do the vocalization exercise is your neurotransmitters start firing oxytocin and endorphins. That in turn raises serotonin levels. Okay, it lowers cortisol levels. It promotes well-being. Okay, you become centered, you become grounded. Confidence is a centered, grounded feeling. I've been teaching this for 37 years. Okay, formerly as a life coach from 2010. But before that, for years and years, through the human voice. Okay? So thoughts create emotions. How does that happen? Well, first you get the thought, then the emotion follows. Okay? The thought is always first. The thought is always first. So if you think a negative thought, guess what happens in a couple seconds? Okay, sometimes less than a couple seconds. You get the thought, and then you get the negative emotion. You have 6 seconds to stop the negative thought. Or your amygdala, right? So the amygdala is like an almond-shaped thing. Okay, it's like an organ almost. Okay, but there's one in the left hemisphere of the brain and one in the right hemisphere of the brain. And your amygdala is your alarm system, basically. It triggers cortisol. Okay, it triggers negative what ifs. Okay, I'll put it simply. It's like that. Okay, if I get really into detail, it gets boring and confusing. Okay, but what it does is it starts giving you the negative what ifs. Okay, so what if it's like you get a bill, or maybe it's a $300 phone bill. Okay, I get those. You get a $300 phone bill. Okay, and you look at your phone bill, you go, wow, $300. How am I going to do that by the end of the month? Right? If you think about it for more than 6 seconds, your amygdala goes, what if your phone gets cut off? What if this? What if that? What if? And you start thinking about it more and more and more and more. And this is where you get those thoughts that keep flooding your brain. And guess what? They're all negative. They're all going to be negative. Why? Because your amygdala is preparing you for flight. You know, fight or flight syndrome? Okay, the flight part, the run part. Your amygdala is preparing you to be triggered to run. If there was a lion in the bushes outside your house someplace or whatever, okay, then it's very helpful. Why? Because your amygdala would say, hey, get out of here. And you run. And your cortisol kicks in, right? And you run. But if you're living in survival mode, day to day to day to day to day, your subconscious memorizes it. And it goes around and around and around in a circle. Okay? Wash, rinse, repeat. Wash, rinse, repeat. And survival mode is just living in fear. There's an undercurrent of fear. And the things you're doing, the reactions that you have, are all related to fear of a certain thing. Whatever the topic is, whatever it is. But you become very reactionary. Okay, you react to things because you get triggered. React. Okay? We see this on social media. If you observe the same people on social media and the way they react to things, and go and look at different posts and you see their name again and look at the reactions, it's the same thing. But they're unaware that the reaction, okay, their reactionary lifestyle that it's turned into has been accomplished to the subconscious. So manifestation is subconscious. Once you fix that, you open the door. Okay. I can't even tell you, like my teenagers, my young kids in the old days, the parents would tell me, wow, they're joining clubs now, they're not shy anymore, they're outgoing. What is shyness? Fear. It's the opposite of confidence. And now, when they have nothing to fear, because you really have nothing to fear, everything is perceived. You're bringing it upon yourself, most of it, okay? Some of it's legit, right? But some of it is manufactured through your imagination. But when you start using your imagination for good stuff, okay? Imagine yourself with a good job, whatever job you want. Imagine yourself with the girl of your dreams. Imagine yourself with the guy of your dreams, or the husband of your dreams, whatever it is. Okay? And think of the things you do want versus the things you don't want, because this is scientific. This repeats itself. Okay, I can't even tell you how many things just keep pouring, okay? But then it comes. And the secret of it all, right? The secret, Rhonda Byrne's thing is, the documentary is called The Secret. The big secret is not some genie with a lamp or some mystical witchcraft thing. It's none of that. It's your subconscious. They don't tell you that. They don't tell you that up front. Why? Because they have to sell books. They have to sell CDs or whatever, DVDs or whatever it is. They have to sell those things, okay? That's marketing. Okay, I'm giving you everything for free this morning. So do your research, go do it. Okay, if you need help, I'm at hereforyoulifecoaching.com. Some of my clients are on here on the chat. We'll be right there, you guys. We'll be right there. We have an offer for you guys. And right now we're only offering on one platform because my calendar is only so big. I can only take so many people. I have 2 extra half hours. But anyway, and the science is on the website, okay? When you go to the website, hereforyoulifecoaching.com, go look at the science. We have all the white papers from doctors and researchers and scientists, and they're all on the page. So you can click the link and you can go and read about this stuff, okay? Manifestation is real, okay? And you manifest whether you know it or not, whether you're aware of it or not, whether you're doing it intentionally or not, okay? But the magic, if you will, it's not real magic. I'm just saying the magic part of it, okay, is when you can control it and bring into your life the things you want instead of what you don't want. Okay, so we're going to, see you guys tomorrow at 7 a.m. Okay, so we'd like to say aloha to everybody on Streamlabs. We're on 7 platforms every morning.